Guard, it's me, Casca, again, here with the how-to project with Coda behind the camera once more.
Hi.
And today we're going to teach you how to use beveling and matting techniques in your leather carving. If you have not watched the swivel knife video, please go back and watch that first, as this builds off of that. But if you have already, I guess you're already ready to go. Thank you. Okay, today we're going to teach you how to use a beveler. The first thing I want to show you is this is my mallet. It's made of rawhide. And these are bevelers here. As you can see on the top of the tool, they have a little bit of an angle where one side's deeper than the other. Now, any of your leather working tools like these, they're your friends. And you know what you don't hit your friends with? Hammers. Hitting your friends with hammers is mean, so you don't do it. No metal on metal contact, because what happens is it mushrooms out your tool and then you start getting uneven stamps, and no one likes that. It's messy and you're investing money in your tools, so don't hit them with a hammer. I suggest getting a rawhide mallet or a poly mallet. They're both very good. Rawhide's a little bit more expensive, but they last a little bit longer. Poly mallets are very durable, but they tend to chip and crack on the edges over, years of use. Whereas a rawhide will just kind of dimple in the middle, and you can always just sand it back to flat if you need to. You could also use a wood mallet, which will break down pretty quickly, but they're very cheap. Or even a rubber mallet. But the downside to a rubber mallet is they have a tendency to bounce off your tools. So when you're hitting them, they pop back, and that means you're losing some of your force. Not all the force is being imparted into the end of your tool. So you're having to do extra work, which means you're going to get tired faster, and you won't want to leather work as long. So try to avoid that if possible, but definitely avoid metal tools. You don't hit these with hammers. Alright, now how you bevel is you take the little pointy end of your beveler and you just tuck it right into the line on your pattern. Now, you actually don't want to rest it on it, because what you're actually going to do is kind of hold it above. Ideally, you should be floating your tools just a little bit above the line. And that's also to help impart force into your work surface. Everything should be going into your leather if at all possible. And you just tap along. I'm going to do it very slowly to show you how to do it. Once you get good at it, you'll just be tap, 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 right across like a little woodpecker sound. But at first, you're going to want to go nice and slow. And as you're noticing, I'm not, and I'm going to show you on this little line off to the side here, I'm not doing smash, smash, smash. No, that looks horrible. You don't want to do that. And it's very hard to fix. So what you do is taps. This way you can always go deeper if you want to, but you don't have to if you don't want to. As you notice, I'm also working back and forth over an area, smoothing out my tool marks. Because as you can see in this one, you have 3 nasty little dimples from each of those 3 strikes that I did over here. But over here, it's looking a lot smoother. And that's exactly how it should look. You shouldn't have these extra tool marks. It's like clipping your threads when you're sewing. It's just something to make things look a little bit cleaner. Sorry about that. I apparently set an alarm and completely forgot I set an alarm. Anyways, it's just something to make things look a little bit cleaner, a little bit more professional. So that's the basics of how you bevel. Now I'm going to tell you how to bevel in your design. When you're beveling, you will want to start with what element of your design is closest to you. On this here, it's going to be this swirl. This one is visually closest to your eye. You put your beveler down on the outside and you just work your way around whatever element it is. And I know it's slow and tedious going, but you're just going to have to accept that and be patient. You know, put on some background noise and it'll go a lot faster than you think. Anyways, once you get the elements that are closest to you, you're going to carefully pick out the parts of your design that are further and further away. So the outline of whatever your design is, that should be the very last thing you're doing, because that is the thing that is furthest away from you visually. This is to help you establish perspective in your piece. So now that I've got the basics of this swirl in, I'm going to turn this a little. I'm going to do this here, because this portion of this stem type object is the next furthest away. Now, what I'm going to do is this, and you're going to see me come very close to this swirl, but since the swirl's on top, rather than smash it straight down, I'm going to tilt. So this way, I don't damage the swirl that I put in, and yet I'm getting all the way in next to it. And that's what you want to do, because you don't want to smash over the top and get tool marks on the top of your closest element. It once again looks sloppy. And frankly, you've already put a ton of time cutting your whole design into your leather. You don't want to be sloppy and get marks all over it. Now, if you do get marks on your leather, or you find anything like this, like a little stray line or a little stray scratch, if you have, and this is just a spoon, a little modeling spoon, what you can do is just very gently come across it and buff that out. If you have like a tool mark here, you could just come across again very gently, just smooth that, and it'll get rid of those marks for the most part. If they're very, very deep marks like these over here, as you can see, I'm not making any headway. This is just going to look bad no matter what, because I was careless. But if you do little tiny ones, which is why you want to be really gentle, you can remove mistakes easily. You can also use your modeling spoon to kind of help you define your curves. You know, just clean up the edges a little bit, soften them, and as well as removing those tool marks. Now, the third thing, I'm going to go back to this section over here to show you, that is very important, and this is the thing that I see as far as beveling is concerned, probably the most neglected element in Amtgard when people do leather carving. As you see here, this leather carving kind of left a ridge. It clearly goes up, then out into the smooth surface. So it's smooth, steep slope. And that makes it hard to clearly see that perspective that you're trying to develop. So if you take a larger tool, this is called a matter. It's also a very large beveler. It does have a bit of an angle to it. What you can do is just kind of float along and spread that deep bevel gradually out so it goes further and further away. And as you can see here, now you have an entirely smooth line rather than that deep bevel straight line. Now you have this smooth continuous curve going underneath this element here, this piece of the design. And that's very important for finishing up your work, because when you don't do that, the end result is you have these very hard edges, and you lose that perspective that you try to develop. that's all I have for you today, folks. Please remember to practice your swivel knife cuts, and of course practice your beveling before you tackle any big projects. Thank you.